Hello, World Wide Web, Internet, and anybody else in between, superior beings from other dimensions, hopefully. You're watching an episode of a podcast thing, which I think is now the official title for it, which just came out of me not being able to come up with a creative title. This week's episode was meant to be about the discography of one Mr. Kendrick Lamar, but unfortunately, two of our guests had dropped out, so I've moved this what was originally episode 3 to today, but I'm still very excited about this episode. Because instead we are going to be talking about a little game franchise known as Animal Friggin' Crossing. I've got two lovely guests with me today. I've got Miss Daisy Jessen.
Hello.
And Mrs. Erin Fletcher.
Hello.
Daisy is currently studying film in Brighton, although right this very minute she is not, because she is in Swindon, as we all are, the place where culture and art thrive.
Absolutely.
And
Couldn't
Erin,
keep me away.
you can't. She just, and
I just
Erin,
keep coming back.
and Erin is doing well, I don't want to butcher it, but it's in Bath, if you want to describe it, Erin.
I've just finished, actually.
Oh, are you done forever?
I'm done forever, because they're not allowed to submit anything after the 20th of March when we went on lockdown.
So you're an actual adult now?
Apparently.
Oh, great.
I've just finished a performing and production arts course at Bath Theatre Academy.
Great. So we're an eclectic mix. We're all somewhat involved in, wanky fanky stuff. So it's great.
Thank you.
Before we jump into anything, what have you guys been consuming or doing to keep yourself busy? Let's start with you, Erin.
Well, I've played 155 hours of Animal Crossing. I've gotten really into sewing the past couple of days, so I'm keeping myself busy with that. Just making music, doing lots of creative stuff that I usually wouldn't have time for.
Awesome. Daisy?
Right.
I have a week 65 hours on Animal Crossing New Horizons, but that's still been the majority of my life. And that and other video games, that's pretty much all I'm doing, which is fun.
It's all right. I'm right in between both of you. I think I'm at 90 hours as of this morning. So I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing. Last few days I've not been so into it. I think just other things that I want to be doing. But I've been watching a lot of The American Office, which I've never actually seen before all the way through. And I have been making music and stuff, which is out in the world. Quick news updates for anybody who cares. These are not relevant necessarily to you two, but these are relevant to my very small brain and my circle of what I consider important entertainment news. As of, I think, yesterday or the day before, The Last of Us Part 2 has officially gone gold, which means it is now being printed on discs and they can't delay it ever again. It's going to be coming out June 19th. Also, a new trailer for it came out today. It is one of the most bleakest, grimmest things I've ever seen, and I'm not really sure how anyone will watch that and be like, wow, that looks fun, as opposed to, wow, that's going to depress me. Because it looks horrible, it looks violent, it's going to be an amazing lesbian revenge story. I cannot wait. The other news for my brain, which is apparently sizing up to just be about hip-hop and video games, Little Sims, who is a British rapper, she has released a brand new EP today called Drop 6, I think. I'm very excited to check it out. If you're listening to this today and you're interested in hip-hop, she's a very fantastic artist, and I'm very excited to hear what that album is like. I may even react to it on the channel. Who knows? I'm crazy. I've got time to do content now. We'll see what happens. But those are the two pieces of news that are relevant to me and my tiny brain. So, Animal Crossing New Horizons is a video game published by Nintendo for the Nintendo Switch. So before we start talking about New Horizons specifically, what are both of your personal histories with Animal Crossing as a franchise? Daisy, do you want to start?
Sure. So I got Wild World probably when I was 9, I think, maybe, around that age. And it wasn't really, I don't remember asking for it or like being invested in like from adverts or things like that. I think I just kind of got it for Christmas or something, and then spent God knows how many hours on it. But the thing is, I had no like awareness of what the game was about, so I just like kept deleting my save files and restarting like every other day for a bit. And then when I was 15 was when New Leaf came out, and that's I put a bit more effort into that. So I've had the same town since I started all those years ago, and I've kind of been dipping in and out of that until New Horizons came out, and now New Horizons is my life.
I'm kind of interested in what your new Leaf Town looks like. Like, it must be perfect.
Oh God, nothing compared to like my town is much better on New Horizons than it is on. Yeah.
Okay. And Erin?
But my house though.
Oh. Okay. And Erin?
That's it.
Yeah, similarly to Daisy, I got Wild World on the DS when I was probably around the time it came out. I don't know how old I was. That's something that my brain cannot figure out right now. But yeah, I think it's the same thing where I just was given it, really. And then because I spent a lot of time playing my DS when I was little, and I think it was one of my short catalogue of games, so I just played it constantly. It also, I think it was the first video game that I'd like properly spent some time playing. So then I proceeded for a long time to play every other video game like Animal Crossing and just ignore all of the goals and just like live in the world of the video game for a bit, which is fun. And then I played City Folk on the Wii, but not as much as Wild World, because I think I just found it a bit more annoying, the fact that I had to like go and sit in the living room specifically. I couldn't like hide in my bed with my DS. I had to actually like make an effort to go and play that game. But yeah, I didn't have a 3DS, so I didn't get New Leaf, but I sort of like Animal Crossing held a special place in my heart throughout that time, and I was like, oh, I miss Animal Crossing. Then it came out on the Switch, which is great. Yeah.
Which you already had.
I did.
Whereas for Daisy, it was such an important purchase to play this Animal Crossing game.
Absolutely.
That she bought a Switch for it.
So I remember the announcement. So I didn't have any interest in buying a Switch, and then the moment they announced Animal Crossing, I was like, I've got to find out how to get one. And then like a week before March 20th when it came out, I'm still there like, somehow it's going to happen. Like, one's just going to materialize somewhere, right? Like, I can't miss out. So I only just got it a couple of weeks ago. So it was about 2 weeks, I think, just over, that I finally got a Switch and finally got New Horizons.
But you do have it.
A blessed moment.
But you have got it. You've got it forever now.
Absolutely.
So just initial comparisons then. How does New Horizons stack up against those earlier ones that you remember?
It's funny because it's like, it feels like it's the exact same game, but so much is new and so much has changed. Like, I feel like it's still Animal Crossing at its heart, you know. But they've just, everything they've added just feels so like much more functional, and this game feels a lot more engaging than the others, I feel, because I don't think I played New Leaf this much when I first had it, and I definitely didn't play Wild World that much when I first had it. So yeah, I think it's a lot more engaging.
Taryn?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think, like, as someone who hasn't played Animal Crossing that recently compared to playing it now, it really didn't, and also arguably for me it would have been more of a jump because I didn't play New Leaf, but it didn't feel like a jump at all. Like, when you kind of open it, I feel like the like strongest thing that Animal Crossing has is like this vibe where you just know you're playing Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Such a strong like energy surrounding it, and that's exactly the same. So I think that they could almost make like any changes they could add anything to the gameplay that they wanted, and as long as they kept that like, this is Animal Crossing kind of feeling, I don't think anyone would be that mad about it.
So is that why you think you gravitate towards it? It's just that endless vibe, that Animal Crossing vibe?
Exactly.
Brilliant. Well, this is my first.
Like that.
This is my first Animal Crossing game, and I bought it just because it's quite a high profile Nintendo release, but also because I was just curious. And I didn't really feel like excitement for it. It was more just like, I'm interested. And unfortunately, I did definitely get addicted to it. Not unfortunately, and my purchase was well made, but it's been very enjoyable. But also during all this time of not being able to go anywhere and everything else seeming kind of bleak if you spend time looking it up, it feels like a very positive energy and a very relaxed thing to have in this current climate. And I think it's really weird that the timing of it has been so like literally perfect, like days before shops were closed down. This was like pretty much the last game that came out in shops before they all closed.
Mhm.
It's really weird timing. It's almost like Nintendo planned it. But
Conspiracy theory.
COVID-19 is an anagram for Nintendo somehow if you flip the letters. But I think it's been a very enjoyable experience, and also something I find myself still coming back to every day, at least for like 5 minutes, just to check in.
Mhm.
And I think I missed one day, like since I bought it, I missed one day where I didn't play it. And yeah, I think the thing I found most satisfying is even comparison to I played a little bit of Stardew Valley and things like that in the past, and I think just the comparison of being able to completely build everything from the ground up makes it feel like not only do you always know where everything is and you have like a mental map of your island, but also it feels like a lot more progress when you've put pavements down everywhere, when you're like, I did that, I did every single one of those pavement slabs, I did every single one of those trees, kind of thing. So it's a lot more like a personal attachment to it. If we're talking about a general review discussion, I think we can break it down beat by beat and just talk about it. I think if we start with visuals, this is the first Animal Crossing game to be in HD, technically, and it looks very pretty. It's this weird mix of like photorealistic fruit and animals, and also like the weirdest shaped human beings you've ever seen in your life. I don't know if either of you have any comments about the art design or the visuals of the game, or
It's so I went onto my New Leaf town the other day, and it's like I didn't feel like it was that big of a leap, but then like it's huge. The like New Horizons is so smooth and so like so pretty looking, whereas you go onto the old games and it's a massive change, but I love it. It's just so pretty, and especially with the Switch where you can play it on a big screen as well, it just looks so good.
I think I had a few days where I was playing it over and over again on like my Switch on handheld, while I was doing other things. And then I put it back in my dock one day and I was like, oh my God, this game is really pretty. Like when you see it like on a bigger screen, you're just like, wow. And you don't really realize it when you're just messing about and playing it on the handheld mode. But I was just like shocked. I was like, this is really brutal. And I think what they've done really nicely as well, it's getting slightly technical, but like the lighting and stuff that they've done, when it comes to like sunset or sunrise or even nighttime and all of it, it just looks so pretty constantly. And
And I don't know why. One thing I fixate on as well is like the wind through the leaves
mm.
when they're like, I don't know, just the wind blowing. It's just really nice, really immersive. I really like it. Great game, 10 out of 10.
I always, whenever I walk along the beach, I'm like, the water is just like, especially at certain times of day when it's like the sun would be right above it and it's like shining. It just constantly looks gorgeous. And I feel like I keep finding new things where I'm like, oh, they like actually paid attention to that in a really nice way.
I think it's one of those games where it doesn't happen very often with me, but because a lot of games nowadays do have photo modes on other platforms and things where you can just take a photo or like share photos and stuff. And this is probably pretty much the first game I've ever had where I feel inclined to constantly take photos. My entire Switch photo gallery is just filled up with Animal Crossing stuff, and it's just because it is so beautifully designed, and also it's just cute. And also when you're with your friends, you want to like mark the occasion or do some like cool positions or remote. And I think they really know their audience and like how well they've implemented the camera system in. And also, I know that the idea of even the Nook phone is like a new addition in this game, and it just completely streamlines everything. Like it's just. I think I was reading an interview or an article about it, and they were deciding how they were going to implement all these new features, and they were like, well, if we just make it a smartphone, people won't need a tutorial; they just know how to use it. And like it just goes. It like you want to take a picture, phone camera, and then it's really well done. But yeah, it in the visuals department, it is just really, really relaxed and just like really beautiful constantly. And the amount of color that is constantly present as well, it's very impressive. And obviously it's not the most graphically demanding thing that's ever existed. But I don't know whether this is consistent with the other games, but like I kind of like the weirdness of having like you have like furniture and some like bugs and fish and stuff looking really photorealistic, like how they do in real life, and then it's just contrasted against like I don't know, really weird stuff. It's just a really weird mix that just makes it quite a charming and unique like art style. I guess the next point is music, which is off the chain.
So good.
Yeah.
Like Animal Crossing has always been really strong on music. I think like it's the kind of like it's almost like you would find the kind of Animal Crossing music on that like lo-fi chill beat, where it's just you feel so relaxed playing it. And like I know that you have as well, Daisy. I've got the Chrome extension downloaded on my computer, so I can press a button and it plays whatever like time Animal Crossing music that it is at that point. And I really like to work to it because it just makes me so like relaxed, and it makes everything seem like it doesn't have any like consequences. Not that it doesn't have any consequences, but it makes everything seem much less intense.
Things don't have weight. They're
Yeah,
just kind of chill. Yeah.
the whole of Animal Crossing is like, you put a tree in the wrong place, just dig it up, put it somewhere else. Just do it. It's fine.
I feel like the only major mistake you can make is leaving your turnips out to rot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's punishable by death. So
What for you? You talked a little bit about improvements they've made since New Leaf and other titles. What for you are like the big gameplay improvements that you notice since playing the others, if any?
the absolute complete customization of everything.
Yeah.
Is because so in New Leaf and everything before it, if you planted a tree in a place where a tree can't grow, it would die. There was no second chances. You can't dig it up, plant it somewhere else. So things as small as that. And obviously with the whole terraforming and like completely rearranging your island, that wasn't a thing. You couldn't even put furniture outside. And now that you have time, you have space and you have the ability to like make little hangout spots or like little beach like hangouts and things like that. I just think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic. You have like complete control over how you want your island to look. It's not like here's a base and you can do a few things to it. It's like here is complete free reign.
Yeah,
which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, there's definitely been that jump from like this is a town that you're moving to and you're going to live in, to like this is an island that is yours and you can do absolutely whatever you want with it. Like it's what you said, you've just got complete free reign over absolutely everything. And it's
but also, like I said, you've got personal attachment to everything you're putting down, and there's like a personal pride to the fact you've got a little courtyard. In my case, that I've got a little courtyard with a DJ booth, and I'm like, this is my events area, and I was so proud of that because it was just like, I'm just going to pave this area and see what I can make out of it, and I was like, I've got a DJ booth. This is awesome. And also, when you have that full customization, you find yourself just like wandering around and being like, oh, this area would make a really cool whatever. But you can make that. You can just decide that that's what it's going to be. I think, if anything, the part that I struggle with customizing is my house. Because I just want to like, it's almost like there's too many rooms now. I've got the house fully unlocked, and I've got upstairs and a basement that have nothing in them. Because it's like I was kind of content with what I had, and now it's like I have to keep adding to it. But I'm sure over, I plan to keep coming back to this, for a while. So I'm sure however long that takes me, I'll eventually have everything kitted out and get going. And currently, my current mission is trying to find snapping turtles on Mystery Island and creating a little turtle sanctuary outside of my house. So that is my goal. So outside of just gameplay then, which is what you said about customization, are there any overall improvements that you've noticed? Because you mentioned the turnip systems and things, and I don't know, the hot item stuff, and just any of the, also because crafting is a massive new element that wasn't in
Oh
the,
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
and it's weird for me thinking that
because it feels so like ingrained
integral, yeah. Because I'm thinking now, the idea that the other games didn't have crafting, I'm like, what? I'm struggling to process that, yeah.
Because I at first struggled to process that crafting is a thing now in New Horizons, because every other game I've played where you have to collect things to craft things, I've just not enjoyed, because you have to absolutely bust your back trying to find these things. But like the really the pleasant surprise with New Horizons is that it's all there. You know, if you need to collect 30 stones, you go around to all your rocks, then you go to an island and you've got it. It's like, so, you know, there is an element you have to go out and like work for it, but it's not unattainable. You could easily make whatever you want within a couple of days, or in a day even.
Yeah, but it still feels like more of an accomplishment than just buying something. Like I'm more attached to the furniture items that I've made than the stuff that I've bought, because it's the thing again with the, like, you feel like it's your own.
I think the only thing I prefer with the crafting stuff is when it comes to tools and things. I think, to be honest, I think the durability on them is still a little bit too low.
Yeah.
And I find them breaking at the most like annoying parts when I'm the furthest away from my crafting table. Then suddenly it snaps and I've got to run back. And really, I think someone did like a mock-up on Reddit of like just having like a bar underneath each tool, so it shows you how much durability it's got left. Really small changes like that would just make it flow a little bit more. And I think,
so
sorry, go on.
In the other games, the axe has never been durable. It's never lasted. All the other tools do, but the axe breaks after a certain amount of times. And I was saying, people were suggesting bring back, so with the axe, it would start getting cracks in it. And that's how you knew that you were close to it breaking,
Right.
the more cracks it got. And then you know that, okay, I can only chop a couple more trees and then that's it. But
then again, I'm not sure.
If they added that in, it would be a lot more easier to know when you need to craft more.
Yeah, I'm just not sure what you gain from a design standpoint. Like, what is gained from having to make someone use very small amount of resources to make a tool again over and over, as opposed to it just doesn't break. I don't see why the shovel should break. I don't see why the slingshot should break.
Yeah.
Those are sort of things that it just makes it more annoying.
Yeah, isn't it that once you fill up your Critterpedia, you can start making gold tools? And
yeah,
I
don't think they're. Yeah, they last quite a long time. But then it's like, I mean, if you want to do it legitimately, they're basically saying, yeah, spend a year of your life on this game, and then you can have durable tools. Like, I also thought, because the way the recipes unlock, I thought, because you get like DIY and then you get like beginners recipes, or like you get recipes for better tools. I thought it was going to keep going, and it was going to keep like being more and more advanced versions of that. And I think that would make it more interesting. Like, if suddenly to get like a better axe, you had to get a star fragment and 2 pieces of metal, and it still wasn't like invincible, but it would be a lot more durable. That would be interesting, and then you suddenly got something else to work towards. And I think as well, you can buy like recipes from the Nook shop, like a collection of recipes a few times. Then it's like there's not really any way to consistently get new recipes after that. I know you can check in with your villagers and you can shoot down balloons and stuff, but I think what you're saying as well is that everything feels more rewarding when you've crafted it. I think personally, I'd like it if there was a consistent way that you could get rewarded with recipes, or if there was like a vendor who came around once a week with recipes, random recipes and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool thing for them to add. Like, because I know it does annoy me sometimes. I'm like, oh, I've kind of not got any new recipes, and I keep shooting down ones that I don't particularly want, or ones that I've already got, and then I've just got to like sell them to Timmy and Tommy because I've got nothing else to do with them.
Yeah, I think it feels like there's going to be a big update incoming where they kind of fix a lot of these things. I think the main thing that people have an issue with is the crafting like amounts, like the fact that you can't just say, I want to make 20 medicines or 20 fish baits and just let it do it in one go. it just feels like time wasting, really, and kind of pointless to just have to keep tapping A over and over and over again. Um, and also, like, I
Yeah.
want to be able to craft something and customize it at the same time. So if I can craft something and it can be
Yeah.
customized, just let me specify that when I craft it.
Yeah, but I think the two-step would not be so annoying if you didn't
No,
have to do it one by one. Like if you
yeah.
could do all of those things in bulk, like say I want to customize every single bench I have and do that now. Like I wouldn't mind.
It's
Only so annoying because you have to do both of those steps so many times.
It's a lot of small changes that they can do, and with the shopping, I think they could make it more of like a basket system, so you can say everything you want and then you pay for it at the end. Or
Yeah, I don't mind it so much in Nook's Cranny, but I definitely in the Able Sisters. I think it's annoying.
Yeah.
You're only allowed to buy one
Oh
out.
yeah.
If I want to buy 2 tops, I've got to go into the thing twice, even though it's the same amount of stuff as if I wanted to buy a top and a pair of trousers. But I
and
have to spend double the amount of time doing it.
I also think that clothes shouldn't take up storage space necessarily. Like, I think
Yeah.
if each wardrobe or each drawer had its own amount of storage space that you could shove stuff in, that'd be more interesting. But I think the idea is that a lot of Animal Crossing for me playing it is this idea of collecting everything or trying everything, and especially when it comes to the Critterpedia. And with clothes, often like I don't buy everything, but it's like I want to buy that just in case, or I like that. And you can't always do that if you're constantly filling everything up because there's just not enough space. Or like it's not been an issue yet, but I know eventually down the line I'm going to hit maximum storage, and there's no way for me to expand that. And I just think that if it was like you could build more wardrobes in a house or more like storage or a chest or something. This is very Minecraft ideas, but like they've stolen a lot from Minecraft already. And I don't think the idea of having a chest that you can just keep like wood and stone and iron in would be a bad idea if it all came into the same storage menu. So yeah, it does feel like there's going to be a massive update at some point, which just does an overall fix, or maybe not, because they're Nintendo and they don't fucking need to do anything because everybody's already bought the game and it's already made so much money, and nobody's going to stop playing because of those issues unless it's maybe a year down the line that was like fuck this game. So the other point I've got next is about the amount of content that's in the actual game, or the amount of stuff that there is to do at launch, I guess. Does anybody have any comments about the sheer amount of things to do or the lack of amount of things to do?
I know it's supposed to be a chilled out game, but sometimes I genuinely feel stressed out when I go on it because I'm like, oh my god, so first of all I've got to find the message in a bottle to get that new DIY, and then I've got to go find whichever villager is crafting something, and then I've got to go catch this fish and catch this bug, and oh my god, this person's in my town today, so I've got to go speak to them. And I know it's not anything that is actually stressful, but I just like once you start doing things, you start doing more things, and when you intended only to hop on it for a bit to do one thing and it's an hour later and you're like, oh well, guess I'm just going to terraform the entire island and spend the rest of the day on this game. So that's what I find keeps happening.
I think that the amount of content is good, but I think at some points it could be paced a little bit better, because I know that I found myself kind of, before I'd got KK Slider and I had the terraforming and everything, I found myself a little bit being like, oh, but I just want a little bit more, because I didn't want to put another plot down yet, because I didn't have enough Nook miles to properly go villager hunting and be like secure that I'd find one that I liked. So I kind of couldn't progress any further, and I just found myself being like, oh, I've got to do all these things to get Nook miles. And I don't know, like, I think it would be nice almost if they had like, because they do a little bit, but almost like main quest and side questy things, and bring back a little bit more like villagers asking you to go and do tasks for them, because I've only had that happen twice, and it's been really specific, like catch this bug for me, and then I just can't find one of those bugs, and so I don't get to do the task for the villager. But like I think a bit more things like like kind of side questy bits and ways to interact with your villagers a bit more as well would be helpful for like content and pacing.
Yeah, I think more ways to interact with the world, and also because there's so much more there's so much more of an emphasis on online play this time around. I think they really need some mini games and things. Like even if it was just like I don't know, just like a really basic volleyball or tennis thing, or like snooker tables, or just things that you can play with people rather than just sort of, because once you've gone to someone's island, looked at their shops, had a wander around, there's really not much left to do with two people, and you can spend time with each other and you can try and make stuff, but it's still like, it'd be nice if there was something more. So people have sort of, I've seen people have invented like a competitive thing where they try and hit each other with a net in like a small brick wall, like a arena thing. But really, Nintendo, I think it'd be really cool if they just added more mini games and more things that you could actually interact with, and like having a DJ booth thing would be cool if you could actually like queue up the next song and then like host a little show. Just really like it's I know it's not easy to implement that and the level of stuff, but just mini games and things that you can do that don't have to be progressing the image of your island. It's just enjoying being there.
I also think I'm also waiting for an update with more furniture from the collectors. So like Animal Crossing for me has always been a collecting kind of game where I really like completing the like catching every bug, catching every fish, finding all the fossils. And then furniture sets is another thing I love. My house on New Leaf has all of these rare furniture that I've either saved up loads of bells for or like had to search in really specific places to get these items. And I feel like there just aren't these sets on New Horizons. And I hope there aren't any yet, because I really like sourcing and finding every single, because I think in New Leaf there's 11 in each set, 11 pieces of furniture. And I really like going out of my way to find every single one. And then you get a lot of Happy Home Academy points when you have them all together in one room. So I'm really hoping I start to see a little bit more of that, because I would start to like collecting themed things.
The way it looks like it's happening is they're slowly implementing stuff that was in older games through like seasonal updates. So now this sort of round, it's been having Leaf and Red come back. So you've got the sort of plants and shrubs and stuff. And then you've also got the museum building with the art gallery side of thing, which I think is cool. To be honest, I think Red could be there once a day to help it feel like you were growing out the art collection a bit. I know that it's like meant to be occasional that he'd show up, but I think him being a permanent fixture could just add another thing to do every day. But it does feel like they're going to slowly start implementing more and more and more, because the emphasis on like the fact that they released a little update video saying this is what's coming this month. It feels like that's something they're going to try and routinely do. They've already planned out like what they're doing for the next year. But I think really the important stuff is just making quality of life improvements, just those crafting things and just small changes. So we talked a little bit about the freedom of building your own town and how that feels like a step forward. I think the other thing is the online features, which we've all used. We've all played a bit of Animal Crossing with each other. I don't know if we all have, but me and Daisy have definitely gone to some other people's islands for turnip selling. I think it's a really interesting thing that's sort of come out of it is people who are designing their own islands just to sell turnips and just to create like a marketplace for selling turnips, and they'll like create like a little barrier so you can't get through until you give them your fee or whatever. But yeah, with online play, I think we talked about adding mini games, but is there any things that you guys like about online play, or things that you think they could expand on a little bit with the online side of things?
I really like that you can, I don't know if you could do this in New Leaf, because this is the thing, I didn't have a lot of friends who played New Leaf as much as me, or that like there's like a whole new spirit of like friendship within this new game. But like I really like that you can send letters to your friends, because the amount of times I'll like load up my game and I had 3 people send me a skull radio because they thought I'd like it. Like that, I just think that's so lovely. I have a friend who sends me plants whenever she finds one, and that kind of thing. I just love how giving this game is, and no one asks you to like pay them back for the things they bought you. You just see something a friend likes and you can go down to the airport and send it off to them. I think that's lovely.
Yeah, that's a really nice element.
And I've also with having special people on your island as well. So like my friend, he had the game since release, and Celeste hadn't been in his town yet. And then she was on my island within a couple of days. So I invited him over to speak to her, and that was it. That's all he did. And then he left. It just makes it so easy. And it's always been a connection game.
Yeah, I really like that buzz of sharing turnip prices and sharing what your hot item is for the day, and saying, oh, I've got this villager, do you want to come grab a DIY or whatever. I think that's it makes it feel a lot more social. Me and Erin spoke a little while back about how the online stuff could be improved, though. If you've got any thoughts, Erin, go ahead.
I think it's just about, I know that Animal Crossing has this kind of thing where it likes to make you wait for stuff, like it likes to make you go through
It
tabs, like
definitely does.
and like there's a lot of kind of, you've got to wait real world time for this. It's like a life simulator. You're not just going to get everything immediately because you want it. And I think that they've just gone a little bit too much with that on the multiplayer. Like I think that watching the cutscene for everybody is just a bit much. Like especially if you want to invite a lot of people around to your island.
Yeah.
I think that for the person, I think it would be a better system if maybe for the person opening their gates, that you had like a little cutscene where the gates opened, whatever, and then for the person going in, whilst it's loading everything, they had a cutscene they had to watch. But otherwise, I think it would be a better system if they had maybe like an app on the Nook phone where you could check like the airport schedule or something. It's called that, and then you can see who's coming in, and you get a notification onto that when someone else is coming onto your island. So it's more of an optional thing to go and have a look at that, because forcing everyone to watch this like minute-long cutscene, especially like because I haven't done the going to other people's islands for turnips, but I know that you guys are saying that it's so annoying.
Yeah,
Having
it's horrible.
so long, yeah.
It's really slow, and it's like you joined an island which you've waited for ages just to even get there, and then once you are there, you're waiting every single cutscene of someone leaving, someone joining. And I understand that Nintendo as a company have always been kind of behind with online play stuff anyway compared to the other systems. But like, there are games that are a lot more demanding than this, even on the Switch, that to join other people's games or anything, it just says they've joined and then they're walking through, or like they've left and then that's it. Rather than all of these like steps and cutscenes. I know it's meant to feel like a ceremony or whatever, but it is too much. That has to be a massive change, yeah.
Yeah, I think also the fact that like, because when we were playing first, my Wi-Fi was being a bit dodgy. I think that unless it's the host, obviously if it's the host and their Wi-Fi cuts out, you've got to kick everyone out. But I think that if there's a bunch of people on one island and one person's Wi-Fi doesn't work, the fact that it like crashes the whole thing
and everyone loses their progress, yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, I think
that time I lost the oarfish.
Yeah, oh my god, yes.
I lost an oarfish. I'm pretty sure I lost like an oarfish and a seal account once because I'd gone for
no.
And then that Wi-Fi cut out and I was devastated. But like, yeah, I just think unless it's the host, because obviously then if the host's internet cut out, you can't play on that person's island. But I think there's a lot of little things that would make it easier, because they've got the banner that goes across saying that someone quietly left.
Yeah.
When the internet cuts out. So I don't see why they couldn't just have the banner saying someone quietly left, and then they just are not there anymore, and the other people get to carry on playing, and then they can join in when they sort themselves out.
To me, it seems like they spent a lot of time making the base game and not a lot of time implementing these online features, and not a lot of making stuff for those online features, rather than they just decided we'll make the game and then people can just join on top of that. Turnips is the next point I've got. Turnips. What can I say about turnips? It feels like the most capitalist. I mean, not the most capitalist. The whole game is just a capitalist dream. But it's just like this is a literal stock market. It's a stock market. They call it that in the game. And it's interesting that already, like, 'cause the game's only been out just over a month, really. And there's already entire websites with graphic design and like queue systems dedicated to just selling turnips, and also other websites dedicated with graphs and maths figured out, so you can chart your turnip prices for the week and all of that. There's so much, and I think it's going to be one of the biggest things that's going to keep people playing for a while, because it feels so addictive to build up your finances. I think the only point it's going to get old is when you have so much that it's like, there's no point in me doing this anymore. I'm not making enough to justify it. Which, everyone's going to feel like what it's like to be rich in real life. It's going to be a very own Wolf of Wall Street, and I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about it. But turnips have created a weird subsect in the online community of people who are kind of not abusing it, but they are using it to make more
I
money
don't
or to
know.
make more items. I'm not really sure how I feel about it still. I just know that I like selling my turnips for high prices. So sometimes I will be like, fine, whatever, you can have 2 Nook mile tickets. Any other comments about turnips?
So I never got into the stock market in the other games just because it was too much of a gamble. Because obviously, or you didn't have friends to connect with or readily available to connect with, you wouldn't be checking your prices as much. And then I don't think I've ever noticed anything above 100 bells on my old games. And I remember in the first game, I thought you'd buy the turnips just to grow them. So I'd always plant them. And then obviously they'd go moldy and I'd be like, well, why? I did everything right. But this, like already the moment I loaded this game, my friends liked his island was beautiful. And I was like, how did you do it? And he's like, turnips. And that started me off. But I do think people take it way too far. Way too far with what they're asking for. They're like people who are like, yeah, it's like 400. They're selling for 400 bells. I want this many Nook Mars tickets and this much money. And I just think it's, like, just be a bit compassionate, really.
I found a guy the other day who was selling it for like 640 something, and he wasn't asking for anything. And he just said tips are appreciated, and he opened it up to 100 people, and he waited for all 100 people. I was like, well, that's just a kind boy. But yeah,
I sold mine the other day for 595 and they didn't ask for anything.
Yeah.
Like I left a tip, but only 99k bells. But like, I think that's how it should be, really. Like, I think people ask for way too much.
And I think people who time travel as well, which I mean, like, play the game however you want. You bought it, but I personally don't think I ever would, because it feels like it kind of kills the experience for me. And it feels like this in the same way of abusing this turnip system to like get things that you wouldn't normally have access to or get resources, But yeah, it's with the what was I talking about?
Turnips.
No, before I talked about abusing the
time traveling.
Oh, time traveling, right? I think it's interesting that people are doing it, because it does feel like it's kind of killing the point of the game. And also it's very gamifying. That's the point. It's like people who play video games a lot, it's like, how can I get it? It's the sort of stuff that you get in like World of Warcraft or other things. It's like, how can I get the most out of my playtime? How can I maximize my profits? How can I Whereas really it's like, it's not really meant for that. It's kind of meant to just chill out and log in a little bit every day. And I think it's a very gamer thing to try and be like, how can I make Animal Crossing the most intense, fast-paced, time travel, murder my profits. It feels like a bit of a waste of a game, to be honest. But
it's like that with villages as well, though.
Sorry?
With like it's like that with villagers as well.
Yeah.
With like rare villagers, especially the octopuses, like Zucker and I can't remember the names of the other two.
Marina is the girly one.
Yeah, Marina, I think it's Octavian, and then there's also like Raymond and Marshall, like the villagers that people really like. You see them being sold on eBay for like actual real money. Like, I think someone said that someone had Raymond on their island, and they were like, oh, he's moving out, give me 60 quid and you can have Raymond. And it's just like, I feel like it's kind of people getting hold of it and using it in that way. They'll take anything that is sort of like that, because obviously you can kind of trade villages between players and they can move to your friends' islands. And
it's basically a slave trade, bro.
Yeah,
it's just a slave trade.
But like, yeah, I think it's the kind of thing where it takes away the kind of, I don't know, it's the sort of thing where like, I love Zucker so much and I would love to have him on my island, but I think unless like a friend got him and then I got him from like an actual friend, I feel like I'd feel like I'd cheated if I like, definitely if I bought him off of eBay, which I would never do. I spent £50 on this game. I'm not spending 60. But like, yeah, just doing all that stuff, and you find all of these videos of like how to time travel and get exactly the village that you want. And it's like, you're not really meant to play it like that, though. It's kind of meant to be a bit more chill than you're making it out to be.
And I find as well, like all of these like desirable villages, yeah, they're like really cool, and I'd love to have them around.
But
Then
they're
I
just
think that completely
villages.
devalues you. Yeah, but then they like devalues all of the other villages you
Yeah.
get. Like I've just got,
Yeah.
I think her name's Dottie. She's a little bunny. She's nothing like special looking, but I love her just because she's this cute little black and white bunny. And I
Yeah.
feel like because there are some designs of characters and villages that look really cool, that people just overlook like the really simple. Like that's the fun of it, is you have all these villagers and they come and live in your island for a bit and then they leave and then you get some new ones in. And I feel like people have just gone like straight for hunting for the good ones.
Yeah.
It's like, show the others some love, man.
Yeah.
There's someone who I watch stream, and she is a big Destiny player, which is a massive thing about getting the rarest guns and getting the rarest this and this and this. It's always about getting the best and the rarest. And she's got nearly 300 hours in the game now, but she was time traveling a lot. I think she stopped it now. But it is that thing again of it's like if you're used to the idea of I have to get the rarest, I have to get the best thing. It just doesn't really apply here because there's also not a massive benefit to getting a rare villager. They're just a villager.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a very gamer. I hate saying that term, but a very gamer way of like using Animal Crossing. It's like I gotta get the most profit, the most this. So the other thing that I've got is talking about seasonal events. So far we've only had the bunny event as like a seasonal event. And we've also been introduced to Leaf and Red. So what would you guys like to see in future seasonal events or like monthly updates?
I think with seasonal events, it's like everyone was saying this about Bunny Day, just the fact that I don't think seasonal events should inflict on any sort of normal gameplay, and especially in the way that Bunny Day, like I think it's okay to be honest if it did, but if it was in a much more minute way. But I know that like it was so frustrating because I had Bunny Day because I got the game a bit late, and so I was going through Bunny Day whilst I was trying to do all of the bits at the beginning. So I was trying to build Nook's Cranny with Bunny Day going on, and every time I'd like hit a tree or a rock, I'd get an egg instead of what I actually needed, which is already like hard to get at that point. And it was just so like infuriating because I didn't want to do the seasonal events yet. I just wanted to play the actual base game.
Yeah.
And then but the thing is I ended up completing all of the Bunny Day stuff completely by accident. Like I didn't set out to get every recipe and every egg, but I did because they kind of improved it so much on what the game was. Whereas I think with stuff like Mayday, it was a lot better because it was like, oh, you can just, go to the airport if you want and go do this maze that we did.
That's what I was going to say. Mayday has been my favorite thing that they've added in the game. Was my favorite like event thing, and also I think going forward, like as another option as opposed to just going to Mystery Islands, going to a puzzle island and it being a similar thing to Mayday. It's not a massive payout, it's not a massive reward, but it felt like it felt like a Zelda puzzle. It felt like an actual like I've got to approach this in a specific way. It felt like a new part of the game, and in a way that you've not really, because the rest of Animal Crossing, nothing's like that. Nothing's like a puzzle. Nothing's like something you have to use the systems to go around it. And it sort of opened my eyes up to what was possible, into what you could create. I was like, this is really fun. This is really engaging. The reward is great. The way it works is great. It's very simple to get there and to get back out. It's not stressful. It's still in keeping with the game. So I think if they started to do that more and more and more, or even made it, like I said, like a thing, if it was randomly generated and it was just another option you could buy alongside a Nook Mile ticket, you can get a maze ticket or whatever, that'd be really interesting. And also, like, it's just it was just a really cool surprise. I wasn't really sure what it was going to be. And I think it taking away all of your progress and taking away your money and taking away your tools, it means you are just playing the game, and it feels like a completely different part. And also, I don't know if that sort of thing's been in any of the other Animal Crossing games, but like it felt like a new thing I hadn't seen before. And I think as well that seeing that, I quite like if you could make your own mini like challenge islands or something that you could invite people to come to. I know that the idea is that you only have one island per Switch, but I think it'd be great if you could have like a challenge island that you just design and you spend some time with and people can invite, go check it out. Or like an events island, that's where you can have the mini games and other things going on. There's just a lot of room for expansion going forward. And I think in future events, I want to see more villagers and things from past games turning up. I know there was a coffee shop in New Leaf and the other titles.
I need it.
Yeah, stuff like that. It just makes it, and building a new shop. And I really don't know how much more scope there is, because I've got the Able Sisters, I've got Nook's Cranny. It feels like I'm kind of done. And I'd really like if there was just more and more and more that you could have if you want it or not.
Yeah.
And it would add to the customization, yeah.
I think let's talk about Leaf having a permanent tent on the island at some point. And some sort of, I'm not sure what it was because it was a New Leaf, but you know, the dream thing?
I've heard rumours about that as well.
Yeah, because I watched this video where people got some stuff from like a data mine of Animal Crossing, and there's code in there for what could possibly be a permanent tent for Leaf to stay on your island, and some sort of dream thing like they had in New Leaf, which I don't really understand because I didn't play New Leaf, but it sounds very cool.
It was one of my favourite. It wasn't, so basically the concept of it was that you could visit other villages in a dream, so you wouldn't have to connect with people. So if I wanted to visit your island and see what you'd been doing, but you weren't available to connect, I'd just type in your dream code and I could go and like have a play on your island. But people started being really creative with it and coming up with like stories. So my favorites were people like would create nightmare towns that had like horror stories, which I think is hilarious. And I used to go to those all the time. So that was one of my favorite features of New Leaf, and I really hope they bring that back.
That sounds really cool.
It was a lot of fun.
And I think with the options now that you've got, where you can customize an entire town from the ground up, you could get some really creative designs, and because custom patterns as well, custom designs and things. Were those in previous games?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But like just having that as a pavement option, and you've just got you can do whatever you want in any areas. You can make it really good if it was nightmare towns or whatever, storytelling as well.
I've actually seen some really good horror towns, like but just in island tours on YouTube.
Yeah, it's fun to go there and experience it.
So I guess one of my last points is, what do you think the future of New Horizons is looking like?
I think if they keep updating it in the way that they are, I think that a lot of people are going to be playing this game for a long time. Because I think that the way that they're doing it and bringing out new content, it keeps you excited about it. Like I was really excited about bushes, and like I would just want to cover my island in bushes now because it's a new thing, fun. And yeah, like I think that if they keep adding it, so say if Leaf does get a tent and he moves there, you have to do a similar thing for Leaf that you did with Nook's Cranny, where you kind of like collect some materials and build a shop for him, and just kind of, you know, if they keep updating it, I think that it will be a game that has a lot of longevity, because they already are play for a long time, but I think that it will have a widespread longevity.
Something we haven't really talked about that is new to the series as well with this one is Nook Miles, and that creating like a constant, endless stream of stuff you can do to keep progressing. I think it's a really interesting system. And also they had a few Mayday things where if you did a Mayday related thing, you could get 5 times the miles or whatever. Stuff like that is really interesting. And also it's just a really great way to keep you incentivized. I think the way they can expand on that is, like I said, offering more things that you can actually do with those Nook miles. I think that there should be more options of things to buy. I think also you could start introducing things in the Nook's Granny shop that you can only buy with Nook miles, like a special item per day. Things that like you can only get certain customization options for things with Nook miles. Just having more exclusive stuff that you can use it more across the island. Because at the moment, I think I've bought everything that you can buy with Nook miles. And the only thing I keep I've got like, at the moment, I've got like 35,000 Nook miles because I've got nothing to spend them on apart from tickets. And I don't want to be doing any tickets at the moment. So I think they just need to expand on that. But yeah, like we said, I think the future is really just making sure that the whole thing is smooth as possible, because I think when you start cutting out those loading times and the crafting problems and everything, it just becomes a more fast-paced thing, but also still equally as relaxed as it always was. And then it just becomes like people are spending more time because they're not getting frustrated or bored with stuff because it just goes quicker. Is there anything else you'd like to see in the future, Daisy?
Just the return of like seasonal faces and characters we saw in the game before. So like I always loved Halloween on New Leaf when you had Jack. He had a pumpkin for a head, I think. and like you do like fun Halloween things. Yeah, just the seasonal events. And I want to see old returning characters because I love it. Like, I know briefly on the update they were talking about wedding season, and then they bring back Reese and Cyrus, who ran this little like flea market shop in New Leaf. And they were adorable, and I thought I'd be missing them forever now because we don't have them. But then, like, to see their little faces on the update was like really lovely. So I hope.
When is that coming? When was that aspect? Because the idea was you design a wedding, wasn't it?
I think so, and then you do the shots. But I think that's coming out in June. That part is for June, and I think you do it through Harvey's Island.
Yeah,
but yeah, just the return of old faces. That I think like that's what I love about the game.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I think also like something that would be exciting, because I think that bringing back the old stuff in gradually is gonna keep both new and old players playing, because the old players are going to be like, oh well, I want to get to this bit so I can have the coffee shop again because I love the coffee shop. I want to keep playing, and I see that they're bringing in this character that I loved, and so I'm going to pick it back up again. But I think also something that's going to be really important is that they're going to run out of old stuff eventually, and I think that it would be really exciting to see them like add in new things, like add in new shops and new special characters and things that you can interact with, so it keeps it interesting for both old players and new players.
Yeah, I think that is the thing, is there's a lot of stuff they could be bringing back, and there's a lot of stuff they could be reintroducing from previous stuff, but I think they need to start again adding more new ideas and more things, especially to work better with online play, and making it more so that people can be more social on it, and there's more things for them to do in a day-to-day.
Yeah.
But yeah, is there anything that you guys also want to talk about before we wrap up?
I think the one of the big improvements that they could make is, I think the one island per switch thing is really annoying, because I know that I was talking to my friend Amy, who also plays the game, and she was like, oh, I really wanted to make my town completely perfect, and I didn't want to spend all of this time terraforming and paying to move everything around, so I've restarted my island so I can do it from scratch. And I'm like, I would do that and create like do you know what I mean? But I don't want to lose my town and my progress. And I feel like I would definitely play on 2 different islands and have like, so that I could do everything I wanted to, because it is like a minute amount of space. There's only so much you can do with your island. And so I think it would also leave a lot more room for people to do creative stuff, like I might be interested in making one of those horror dream things, but I don't want that to be my sole island, and I don't want to buy another Switch to do that. And I think it's really restricted for people who like 2 people who share a Switch as well, because especially the fact that one person can be the resident representative, it just makes it so it's either your options are either like kind of don't play the game, like you can do all the crafting and stuff, but you can't actually play the game properly, or buy another Switch so that you could experience it fully, which just like I'd understand if it was you have to buy another copy, but I think buying a whole other Switch is a bit too far.
How would you feel about the option of them introducing possibly like expanding the actual size of your island, or expanding it so that there's like a new bridge that appears which takes you to a second slightly smaller island space or something? Do you think that could work?
I think that could work, but I think that like, you know, it still doesn't kind of, because it's
no, of course,
like, yeah, it's for me, like I would like to play just on another island because I like this game, and so I'd like to experience it again without having to delete my save files. But I think it's more important for the people who are playing on one Switch, and I think it would be fine even if they had a thing where it was like pay £5 or whatever, like pay a small amount of money and then you can get another island, so that you sort of, do you know what I mean? So it's like you buy the base game and that's your one island, and then you can have like another island expansion pack. And
I really think they shouldn't do that. Personally, I'd hate that. But
but it's better than having to buy a whole new Switch. Do you know what I mean?
But also I don't think there should be an option to have to buy anything. I really think it should be what you said about you can have the option to have one island on the whole of the Switch, or people can have their individual islands and things. I don't really know why they've done it. I guess the idea is so that you can have multiplayer across the Switch, but also it's just a bit.
They could give you the option.
It feels a bit limiting. And it's not like the Switch can't handle it or
does.
anything. It's not like the Switch
Exactly.
can't handle it. And but I'd be interested in the idea of, you know, later down the line you pay Tom Nook 100,000 and then the island gets slightly bigger or something. You get a
Yeah,
slightly
I
bigger
think that would be
area.
really cool.
That'd be really cool. It wouldn't make much sense, but it'd be cool. Any other points, or are we wrapped?
I think, like, with all the suggestions, it would make it a better game, but I feel like as an Animal Crossing expansion, I'm still completely in love with it and I still love
Yeah.
it. And even if it didn't get the upgrades and the kind of things we were suggesting, I'd still probably play it for the next
No, of course. I totally
half a
would, yeah.
decade. It's 100% the Animal Crossing experience that I'm glad I got. However late, I just love the game so much. And yeah, it is like there's things like crafting, they do take a lot of time, but still, like, there is a game with no time limits as well. You've got that time to spend. There's nothing you need to do. And I like keeping that essence. That's what I've got to say.
I completely agree. I think it's regardless. Yeah, you're right. Regardless of what changes are and aren't made, it's managed to get that initial hook into a lot of people at the perfect time when they can spend a lot of time on it, and I think that's going to keep a lot of people coming back. So yeah, Daisy, Jason, Erin, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for being a part of this wonderful episode 2 of my podcast.
Thank you very much for having us.
You're very welcome. Thank you to anybody who has watched this or who has listened to this. I will leave Erin and Daisy's socials, if they want them, in the description below, as well as any relevant links. I personally don't think we'll ever see another Animal Crossing game for the next maybe 10 years, until at least the next big Nintendo system. We won't see another Animal Crossing game. And as it goes, I think this is going to be a very good title to keep going for that amount of time. And also, the only reason I got it as well, because this is the first time I've had a Switch console, a Nintendo console that's had a new Animal Crossing game come out ever. So it's great. Again, thank you both for being here. Thank you everyone who's watching. Like, subscribe, comment, stay alive, be happy, stay safe, drink water, take paracetamol if you've got a headache, have a little nap. Don't worry about sleeping in. It's okay. There's nothing else to do. Get your homework done. Goodbye.